that was super vulnerable for me. So I'm like, I'm gonna go back after this, and I'm gonna go, should I have said that? Should I have said that?
Access more.
Life is like a roller coaster, but it's better when we go through it together. Welcome to the Candace and Bure podcast. My guest host this season is Jennie Allen, whose new book, Untangle Your Emotions, is available everywhere. Come join us. Welcome back.
So good to be here.
Yay. Jennie, you're leading us through our emotions.
Yeah.
Talking about them, feeling comfortable with them, expressing them, leaning into them. And before we get into our next emotion, which we're going to be talking about, sadness.
Yes.
I would like to know, help know you a little bit better. And I would love to know what one of your earliest memories was. And it doesn't have to be sad, or it could be sad.
I remember, I'll actually do a happy one. I remember my dad had this little bitty used convertible that was yellow. And we used to go on Sunday afternoons for drives, and he would just randomly say, let's go. And we'd hop in, and there was this playground that was about 15 minutes away. And we would all drive over to that, and there were huge slides on it. And it was just such a great memory. And I remember I think for me, referencing back to our joy episode, it was wind in my hair. Like it was messy, but it was fun. And it was special. It was kind of set apart, even though we could have done that any day. He really, he didn't drive that car often. He just pulled it out on special days.
That's really cool.
Yeah. What about you?
Cool. One of my first memories, I feel like I was maybe around 4, but I too was with my family. And I remember one of our first outings, we took a road trip from LA to Illinois because my mom's sister lived there. But we kind of went through a bunch of different states. I remember seeing Mount Rushmore for the first time.
Wow.
And I remember vividly, as we would drive, my parents would always pull over to the rest stop, and we would get out and do some calisthenics. We would do jumping jacks and high knees and, just to get movement, because we were sitting in a car and it was 4 little kids.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember we had a big cooler that had food and sandwiches that my mom had made for the trip, tuna sandwiches and turkey sandwiches. And I just, remember being with my 2 sisters and my brother, my mom and dad, in our VW, our Volkswagen bus. That was our car.
Oh, that's adorable.
And taking that road trip.
That bus would be worth a lot of money today.
I know.
That made a comeback. That's so cute. Oh, that's so fun. And it's good memories. You didn't
good memories.
Want to kill each other.
No. Yeah. Good memories. So we're going to talk about sadness today.
Yeah.
And it's still raining in Los Angeles. And so it really is appropriate. It's kind of making me sad because it's gray outside. What are some of your earliest sad memories?
Yeah. I mean, I hate getting in trouble. Like almost every time I was probably sad, it was really attached to shame. And I remember being in first grade and my teacher getting onto me because I was talking to a boy in the class, and he was honestly bugging me, and I was just telling him to stop. But you know how that is.
Yeah.
Teacher got me in trouble. I had never gotten in trouble that I remember until that time. And I remember, it's so crazy I can remember these details.
Yeah.
There were these little Smurfs on the wall, and they had buttons on their chest. And I had to go remove a button. And that was just the end of me. And then I had to miss 5 minutes of recess. And I remember I put my head on the desk, and I remember not looking up for the entire 5 minutes because I was so ashamed.
Oh.
Which breaks my heart for that little girl. Because I'm like, gosh,
too.
little Jennie, like you were killing it.
Oh.
You lost one Smurf button. Like that's what I want to say to her. Like, come on, like that's amazing. Mess up a little more,
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, and this is a different subject, we don't have to get into it today, but I think a lot of our sad things can come from similar lies or fears, right? Like you can pick up a message from a very young age. For me, it was, I need to measure up. And so whenever I didn't, like, that brought a lot of sadness for me.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because even now I'm in my mid 40s and every once in a while that will still kind of occur to me. Like, I didn't measure up or I didn't hit the mark. And there's a little bit of me that's still asking that question. Like, did I hit the mark? Did we hit the mark?
That is the story of my life, Jennie. This is who I am at the core.
Isn't
I'm
it crazy?
such an achiever.
And were you that way as a kid?
Yes.
Right. I mean, I was sitting here curious, do we all have like kind of one big lie that we're fighting our whole lives? Like that one big
I feel like we do.
thing that's just going to stick with us. Because my counselor would say, Jennie, when you're 80, you're probably still going to be asking the same question, even though I know better, right?
Yeah.
Like I know
Yeah.
the gospel. And when I say I know the gospel, I mean, I experience the gospel. Like I have felt the freedom the gospel brings. I have, in so many ways, I have felt free. And yet this little bitty statement, did I hit the mark, comes up a lot. And so it's funny when I think of my youngest sad memories, because there were other big things, certainly, but those were the ones that pinged me. Those are the ones that triggered me that I remember so well.
Yeah. My first sad memory, I think I remember it because it eventually became a little bit of a joke in the family, but I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And my parents had their best friends and we would hang out with them. And they had 2 sons that were the same age as us kids, us 4. And we would hang out all the time. I loved them. But for whatever reason, my dad had to take me to their house early in the morning before he went to work. So I think my mom had something to do and there was no one to watch me. So he took me to their house and I had to be there for the day, except nobody else was there. Their kids were in school.
Oh, are you the baby in your family?
I'm the baby.
Oh,
yes.
Oh,
And
baby Candace, you were all alone. You weren't used to that.
I was not used to that. And I was so sad. And my dad got in the car. He had a little VW Bug.
So cute.
We had a bus and a Bug. That's what we grew up with. And it was his little turquoise Bug. But anyway, he hopped in the car and started driving away. And the tears poured down my face. And I started running. And I was like, no, dude, don't go. And I was running. And
how old were you?
I was probably 4 or 5.
Oh.
And my dad's friend was like, run, Candace, run. You can catch him, run. And so
he sounds
for
funny.
So many years of my life,
Just
it
run,
became
Candace.
run, Candace, run
Right.
was the big joke. But I remember feeling, I was
girl.
so sad because I just didn't want to be alone, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't really fear loneliness as an adult. That's not so much of a thing, but that was a pretty vivid memory. I did not want my dad to leave, even though I loved the people that I was staying with.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I think too, there's probably some way that ties, even if it's not a fear of being alone, it's like a fear of being left or a fear of like, this isn't how I want it to be and I can't control it. You know, that so often when we look back at the things that shaped us as kids, it's really about having compassion on those parts of us that feel that way. And for me, a lot of the work that I've done in the last few years has been around my work. And I realized that I just felt a lot of pressure. And so when I've got this theme of I need to hit the mark, and then I have a job where everyone's deciding every day if I'm hitting the mark, right? Amazon reviews, sales, whatever. It's all out there to be decided. Are you hitting the mark? And I remember my counselor one time saying, Jennie, you really got a rotten job for what you struggle with. Like, it's really too bad. It's really too bad that your job, like a lot of people don't have jobs where their moms can read their Amazon reviews, but you know, this is, you're out there and there's a lot of opinions. And you're never going to escape that. But I view it differently. I feel like I was forced to deal with this. Like I had to decide, like, am I going to just sit in this and be hurt and this be hard for the rest of my life? Or am I going to really heal? And but the funny thing was the healing, normally I almost use the word, in fact, because I'm so used to being this kind of person, was fight. Am I going to fight? Right. That's the language I would have used prior to, you know, the last 2 years. But it wasn't fight. It was actually feel. It was, I need to feel times in my life when I was growing up where I realized I had to measure up to the people I love. And that was part of my story. And, you know, there's been a lot of healing there, even relationally with that. But ultimately, my 12-year-old self learned and felt like I have to hit a mark. And if I don't hit it, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not going to have their approval. And so after I went back to my 12-year-old self and those memories, again, I don't have another word for it except for magic. It was like magic. I grieved that with people that love me, and they listened to me, and they were sad with me, and they didn't fix me or give me perspective. They just were sad. We were sad for 12-year-old little Jennie that felt that way. And I was sad for her too. I was genuinely compassionate for her because I thought she was doing the best she could and it wasn't enough. And that was communicated to me. And that's a hard realization as a little girl. And it might seem small to people because certainly there's abuse and there's way more traumatic things. But our 12-year-old brain, to the 12-year-old, to the 7-year-old, to the 10-year-old, they don't have that perspective. We have that now.
Right.
We have that now. But a 12-year-old doesn't. 12-year-old only knows I'm doing my very best and it's not enough.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid. And so when I was compassionate to that part of myself, I would get to moments that might feel like the same exact feeling. Like I can't do this because I'm going to fail, or I'm going to do it, but it's going to be so miserable because I can't do it perfectly. And all of a sudden I didn't feel that anymore. And I didn't feel the angst and the anxiety I felt around it. And when I went back to my counselor and said, what's the deal? Like, what kind of magic are you doing here? He said, it's not magic. Your brain, by God, was just built to be in suffering with other people. And so you weren't alone anymore with that fear. And now, as you face new fears, you don't feel as alone with that fear as well. And so I just think that's such an important way to start as we continue to get deeper into these feelings and our relationships, everything else we're going to talk about. It's just to remember the goal. Like the goal is that we not be alone in our pain. Yeah. And that really does change us. And it really does set us free. And ultimately, like you've said, it's with God. Like he wants to hear our sadness. He wants to hear our frustration. He wants it all. And that connection comes first with him. Yeah. And it also comes with other people. Because you told me that story of you running and like literally my heart like jumps in my chest for her, like 4-year-old Candace. Because all she knew was you're leaving me and I'm going to be alone. Yeah. And it's not going to be fun. And I don't have any control over this. Yeah. So I think that being more compassionate is a really good start for this conversation when we talk about sadness.
So I did some therapy last year. That was very significant. And I went back to 8-year-old Candace. Yeah. And I always thought that was kind of weird to go back to the past, all of that. I was so hesitant, really fought it for a while. And finally I decided to. And I relate so much to everything that you're saying because I too have many of those same feelings, being an achievement type person. And it's been my whole life in my job. Like I've been acting since I was 5 years old. So I've been told, here's what you do, go do it, go perform it. Yeah. And then we'll tell you how great you did or what you need to improve at the end of the day. And if you're great, then yay, we can go get a toy or we're going to go have a great dinner. Yeah. But if it wasn't up to par or I didn't feel that it was good enough, if the applause wasn't as big as the day before, then I would feel very disappointed in myself that I wasn't as good as I could be. So I have very much an achievement mindset in all of that. Yeah. And when I went back to 8-year-old little Candace standing under a tree at the park by her house where I used to play all the time, and I thought about what I would want to say to her. I felt so bad that I just wasn't just more compassionate and kind, because same as you, like little Candace was doing the best that she could. And honestly, I don't even think there was like I didn't have a family, and your experience might be different. I didn't have a family that was pressuring me to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
I
did it to myself.
Yeah.
And so when I went back and kind of got to talk to my little self, I could see from a mother's point of view now that I have children. And it was like, oh, I just wanted to hold her hand and go skip on the hill and just tell her what a great job she's doing. But that there was no goal in the end sight. Like she didn't have to achieve anything to just be played with and to hold hands with and run around with. And it was a sad reality to go like, oh my gosh. I felt so bad for my little self that I didn't even realize, because I have so many happy memories about it around it too. But yeah, there was a sadness I didn't realize.
And the power of that is that our little 8-year-old, 12-year-old, 10-year-old selves are still with us. Like that memory.
They totally are.
Those feelings, all of that just hovers. I remember I had this incredible opportunity to the biggest speaking event I'd ever done. And I was so excited about it. Mm-hmm. And yet I felt a lot of pressure and I didn't like the feeling. And I just wanted to be free to show up and to be 40-something Jennie and kick booty and go do my job that I'm good at. But there was this 12-year-old part of me that was still like very fearful and bringing all of these, things with it. And I just think as that part of me begins to heal, like from moments like this, where you share that with me and I go, we all, like anyone listening right now is like in love with 8-year-old Candace and 4-year-old Candace and wants to pull that little girl up on their lap and be like, you're killing it, baby girl. Like you're killing it.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of you and rest. Like you don't have to keep running and all those things we want to say. And yet we don't do that for ourselves. Anyone listening can imagine what they would say to that 8-year-old little girl. Anyone listening can imagine what they'd say to my 12-year-old part of me that where I felt like somebody I loved laid out, like, these are the things you need to do to be successful and for me to be happy with you. That's what it felt like. I don't know that that's what that person meant. So all of us have these moments and everybody would look at that 12-year-old girl and go, no, I love you just how you are. You don't have to achieve anything to be loved. Like everybody would say the right things to our, but we can't, we have such a hard time doing that for ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we can imagine that we are a conglomeration of all of our parts and all of our memories, and this is, it's just, that's what makes us human and not like an animal where, we don't have all that. We've got it all, and can be called baggage or it can be a gift, but we also have to not be afraid to think about it and to go back there. And it's not the only way to heal, but it is a helpful one because it is just helpful to revisit where those fears, where those sadnesses began.
Yeah, it was tremendous for me.
Really?
To do that. And the reason I didn't want to, and I was so hesitant, was because I didn't want to open up anything that would be dishonoring to my family.
Right.
Because I have this beautiful, lovely, happy family that we all, like, we're so tight. And I didn't want to suddenly think that, oh, my mom and dad didn't do as good of a job
feel that
as
way. Yeah.
Because the truth is, like, they're fantastic people and they did do the best job. But it also doesn't mean that just my life or the circumstances or the day-to-day other people we interact with, they still form who you are.
Absolutely.
The experiences form who you are, even if they're great experiences or have the best intentions.
Well, so my grown kids have had a lot of input in their life recently, some therapy, other just mentors. And my son came and told me one time, Mom, I think I've been struggling with depression a little bit. And he said, and I think it began when we moved to Dallas. He was a senior, which makes so much sense. That would be really a hard move for him. But it wasn't because he moved that's what it hit. He noticed that we were all grieving from the move and scared. And we would do it together. We would be in the room together and we would all be sad together. And he picked up a message without us ever saying this message, nor would we ever say this message. I need to be okay because they're not okay. Oh. So sometimes like it can be truly from our parents. There's no doubt. But sometimes it literally can just be a message you pick up yourself that you just, you literally, you didn't hear it anywhere. Like you just decided I have to be okay because they're not okay. And he put that pressure on himself for years. And in doing that, suppressed a lot of his emotions and just kind of numbed out and is walking out of that now. But yeah, I do think those messages can come from lots of different places and sometimes just from ourselves.
Yeah, they can. I think that people would be probably surprised to know, and I'll share, I've struggled with depression over my life or throughout my life, I should say, and have had at different times in my life where it's been much more difficult than others. And some were in my early 20s, sometimes in my 30s, and certainly have had them in my 40s. And it's for someone that is also known to be so happy and positive all the time, which I genuinely am, it's probably surprising to know that I've dealt with serious depression in terms of being in bed for weeks, not being able to get out, not just struggling to, walk into my kitchen or having to make any kind of decision like, what do I want to eat today? Or am I going to take a bite of something? Or am I going to put my shoes on and try to go to the grocery store today? So sadness can obviously turn into more than sadness and can go into deep depression. Did you know that over 85% of grass-fed beef sold in the US is imported from overseas? That's a staggering number, right? That's why I'm sharing about Good Ranchers. They are the #1 source for 100% USA grown meat you can trust to feed your family. Instead of getting overpriced imported meat from the store, Good Ranchers delivers meat for your family straight to your door. Have you thought about switching from the grocery store to Good Ranchers? Well, right now, subscribe to any of their meat boxes and get my special offer of free chicken for a year. Yeah, that's adding over 2 pounds of their fan favorite, pre-trimmed chicken breasts to every order for a year. When you subscribe and use my code CANDY, their beef, chicken, pork, and wild-caught seafood is all 100% sourced in the USA, which your grocery store can't say. Go to goodranchers.com, pick your box, use my code CANDY, and get meat you can trust from a company that cares. Not sure which box you want? Try their bestseller, the Rancher's Classic. Or if you're a hungry household, check out their Family Feast Bundle. Get quality, local food you can trust and feel proud to feed your family. Go to goodranchers.com and use code CANDY to claim over 25 pounds of free chicken today. Goodranchers.com, American meat delivered. So you may have heard Natasha and me on Karen Kingsbury's podcast recently. I watched a screening of her new movie, Someone Like You, which is out in theaters April 2nd. And wow, you guys, I hope you get to see this movie. It's a love story written by best-selling author Karen Kingsbury that follows a grieving young architect on the sweetest, most redemptive journey after he loses his best friend. Along the way, he discovers her secret twin sister. And I'm not going to give away the ending, but let's just say the plot twist will tug at your heart and remind you of the power of forgiveness and love. This is a movie for the whole family, so make a plan for a night out at the movies April 2nd and get your tickets today at ccbpodcast.com/someone like you. That's ccbpodcast.com/someone like you, and I'll put the link in my show notes. Is there anything that you can share with us when it comes to that?
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say, practice what I'm preaching here and just say, I feel so honored that you shared that with me. And I know everybody listening feels the same way. And I feel sad with you because I know you enough to know you really, that's not something you would ever choose for yourself. No one would,
No.
but you really probably hated that season. Those
Hated
seasons.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just feel sad with you that that's been part of your story. And I think it's important for us to realize that in Genesis, when Adam and Eve sinned, the fall broke creation, right? It broke everything. It broke our bodies. It broke our minds. It broke cancer enters, pain enters. I'm sure mosquitoes did not bite before then, like all of a sudden this wave of brokenness enters the world. And it is not as it will be, and it is not as it should be. However, it is what it is. And I think it's important to understand the theology of the fall, because the fall explains why sometimes Christians get depressed too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the name of a book that my husband kept beside his bed while he struggled with depression. And he had to put it beside his bed. And it's just a super short little book, but he kept it by there the entire year plus that he struggled, because he would have to read it all the time, because he was so prone to shame himself for being in this spot. And so I think it's just important that we go, okay, this is part of the fall. It stinks the way cancer is part of the fall, that our chemicals in our brain can just break. Sometimes that's because of circumstances. And sometimes that truly is just because of our own chemistry and the brokenness of our bodies. And I don't think we say that enough in the church. I don't think the church is clear enough about that. And so there's a lot of shame around it. And I hope that I'm part of a huge movement that is eliminating the stress and shame or specifically the shame associated with mental health, because we are just, it's bad enough to be in that state, right? Then to add to it that you feel it's completely ashamed and broken about it. So it's like, let's just do our best to get through it without adding that. And I'm not saying you couldn't ever be in depression because of your bad choices. Heck yeah, there are people that have brought it upon themselves with their choices. There's no doubt. But even that, it's like, why were you making those choices? Like we've got to grow what it means to have compassion on people, because this is really a broken life and a broken world. And a lot of people are really doing their best. So sin is sin, and we got to confess it, but there's a God for that. And Jesus died for that. But what you just described is not because of sin. It is just the brokenness of our world. So what do we do? I think the first thing is you have to bring people into it. Isolation is an enemy, is a tool of the enemy.
You're absolutely right.
It's a tool of the enemy. It's not enough you're never going to heal alone. And it gets really scary fast alone. And so you've got to surround yourself with people that will walk through the valley with you. And so I think honestly, that's the very most important thing, because what that group of people can do, they love God. And specifically if they're wise and can help, give you wisdom, is they can help decide, like, what do you need? Yeah. And so sometimes, I'm such a fan of, this is going to sound so 101, get a physical. Get a physical tomorrow. If you have not had a physical in years, tomorrow you need to make an appointment. And if you don't have health insurance, there are clinics in almost every city that you can visit and get basic blood work done. And test your hormones, test your vitamins, first, make sure that this isn't something that could be helped. I just cannot tell you how many people find out when they get a physical that they have a thyroid condition that is treatable, that has made them depressed for years. PCOS, different, low testosterone, whatever it is, like you need to know like what's happening with your body. And then after that, don't be afraid of counseling. Counseling's super expensive. Again, this is stuff that a lot of people can't afford. But this is why I love local churches, because healthy, good local churches have older people that you can connect with that can play that role. And so, we both have been to counseling. I'm a big fan of it, but I also know that that's not realistic for everybody, but it's always realistic to find a third party that's wise. Yeah. Even if you can't afford counseling.
Yeah. And when, it's a hard, I have a hard time talking.
Really proud of you.
I'm going to ask you a different question.
No, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you what is hard about it. What is you feel when you talk about this?
It's so, it feels so shameful and it feels so lonely. I don't like feeling those feelings. And truthfully, I haven't in a while, which has been amazing and such a blessing. But
do you feel like it's your fault somehow? Where does the shame come from? Not do you know it is, because we know it isn't.
Yeah.
But you feel like it somewhere. Like you should have been able to help it.
Yeah. That I'm stronger than that. I'm better than that.
Yeah, it doesn't play fair.
Yeah.
It doesn't care.
It doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. And and I know how hard, if people are listening to this, or again, you have a family member that maybe struggles with it. It is such a lonely place too. It's very difficult to speak out about it. Even to your most trusted people, it's hard to admit it.
Why?
At least for me, I feel like because I should be strong enough to overcome that. And then it just feels weak. It just feels so weak. And the perception of that. And I'll also say that, like, there are a lot of people who feel that it's weak.
That's fair.
And will verbalize that.
That's
so
fair.
then it's
That's
just
so
this
true.
immediate shame that you're like, oh, well, if I struggle with this, then I'm a weak person. And yet there's so many times I'm like, I don't want to feel this way. I can try with all of my might to get out of this, and I can't pull myself out of the pit. I can't pull myself out by myself.
That's right.
But it's hard to extend the arm and go, help me.
Yeah. It's so scary.
Yeah, it really is.
I feel really honored and really grateful. And I know every person out there right now feels less alone. And so thank you for sharing that. And I have very few words other than cuss words here, but it's just the worst. That this is what so many of us are fighting and struggling with. It is just, it's as if it's just not hard enough how it is. Like, do we really need to not be able to get out of bed? Like, it's just dark enough. Do we really? Zach, that's a big part of our story too. And as the person watching my husband go through it, I can say he's gone through 2 pretty intense seasons. And I can say, and I know this is true for you, it's made him into who he is. Like his compassion, his sensitivity to the Lord, to our kids. Like he empathizes better than almost anybody I know. And that's not to tie it up with a bow, because it really is hell. Like in the middle of it, it's just hell. There's no bright, shiny hope. It's just, you just hope one day it'll be over. But I do believe God has redeemed parts of it for him. And yeah, but it's crazy because it all came up again as I'm writing this. And I remember he looked at me. My first feeling was, oh, okay, we're going to be sad. Okay, you're sad. We're going to be sad. Okay. And I just thought, no. Like we did this. I want it to be over. Which is just not, again, it doesn't play fair.
It doesn't. I always feel my husband's been an amazing husband and stood by my side. But even to this day, when I've gone through, or within the last couple of years, there's still that part of me, and my husband will do like anything to help me and stand by me. But I still have those feelings of shame when when I tell him, but now I know enough to tell him right away, hey, I'm having some overwhelming feelings and I don't want to slide into the hole.
Yeah.
And I can recognize some of
Candace,
the things
it's the
in
raising
my
of
life.
your hand. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's immediate. So, but there's always that sense of disappointment in myself.
Yeah.
I feel bad to have to tell him like, you got to deal with this. I'm feeling sad and it might be going into a deep place. And of course he doesn't feel bad about helping me, but I just feel bad that he's assigned to be my helper.
So this is where I love Jesus because, you think we all do this. This is the universal reaction to being a burden to somebody. You think you're crying and almost always, what does everybody say when they start crying?
Stop crying. Don't cry.
No, what do they say? The person crying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That's universal. Yeah. We all do it. You didn't, by the way. Great job. I was waiting for you to do it and you didn't. I was really proud of you. And so why do we do that? Why do we do that? Because reality is, if I'm on the other side, like right now, what I feel is I feel so much love for you. I feel so much respect for you. It's so funny because you think it sounds weak. I feel like it sounds strong. I feel so moved by it. So I'm never burdened. Like I'm sitting here going, what an honor. Like what a gift to get to hear that part of your story, even though I hate it for you. And I feel angry that that's been part of your story. I still just feel honored that you let me into it. And so we've got this very twisted view of like asking for help in weakness and sadness. And I love Jesus because, there's this moment where his best friend dies and Lazarus, and he's very close to this family. And the two sisters are Mary and Martha. And they're throughout the Gospels. You see moments with them. And he's away and he says to his friends, Lazarus has fallen asleep. I'm going to wake him up. And they're like, okay. Like they don't know what he's talking about, that he's dead. And so they go back home and Martha's mad at Jesus because he wasn't there. And Mary is a little bit too, but Mary's mostly just crying. And Jesus does something so radical and so truly different than I would have ever done or anybody I know would have done. Because he knows in that moment, like somebody he loves is mad at him. Another person is weeping on the ground. And he can fix the problem. And he knows he's going to fix the problem. But he lets Mary feel what Mary's feeling. And then he lets Martha feel what Martha's feeling, which is anger. And then he gets to Mary and it says, now when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet saying to him, Lord, if you would have been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? And they said to him, Lord, come and see. And then it says that Jesus wept. Which, when I have been weeping in my life, many times, oftentimes I go into my bathroom and I'm on the cold floor and I'm weeping and I feel utterly alone. Like there's not being on the bathroom floor crying. It's about the most like isolated, broken, depressing, vulnerable thing in the world. And when I think of this, that he had the power and would heal Lazarus, but that's not what he did. He didn't come in the room and say, don't be mad. Don't be sad. I got this. I'll fix it. He stopped and he let her be mad and he let Mary be sad. He was sad with her. It is a God unlike any other God that has the power over death. He has the power to change the circumstance. But before he does that, he pauses and he weeps with Mary. It just is so intimate. And to me, it's the best picture of the compassion of God with so little words, literally the smallest verse in the whole Bible. But in those times, it's like we think he's standing up saying, get out of bed. Get yourself together. Pull yourself together. Candace.
Right.
But he's like wrapped up. He is wrapped up. Like he is weeping with us. And it is so radically different than the way I have viewed God.
Yeah.
And it feels safe
Mm-hmm.
to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
And none of us want to stay there. That's not the problem. But we're there. And we're not going to escape it. The valleys of the shadow of death, no human is going to escape it. No, you're never going to, even if depression is not what you have struggled with yet, there will come a time of grief and sadness for every person.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we will fear no evil because our God is with us. Like that is the hope. That in the moment when you can't even hope it, he's still weeping with us.
Yeah.
They couldn't have hoped it.
Thank you for that reminder.
Mm.
That's so comforting to me.
Yeah.
I needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're really hard on ourselves, both of us. I'm hard on myself too.
I know.
That was amazing.
Should we take our listener question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Girl, really, you just set people free. Like that they are not alone.
Don't say it. I'm like gonna.
I know.
That was super vulnerable for me. So I'm like I'm gonna go back after this and I'm gonna go, should I have said that? Should I have said that? And I'm gonna start to think about everything. And the truth is, I want to say this. I want everyone to hear this.
Do.
Like
even if there's a cost, you want to do this.
Yes.
It's worth it.
Yes, it is. But just
there might be a
that's
cost.
going to repay in my mind over and over if I should have been that vulnerable. But
yeah, and there really might be a cost, but I would tell you if that cost comes, if somebody writes an article, whatever, worth it. Like for the people that you just reached in their car and like they just pulled over and they can't breathe, like they are crying and they feel so seen.
Yeah. And if you're that person right now, I'm grabbing your hand and holding it with you right now. Okay. We really are going to take a listener question. Amanda wrote in, she said, after listening to the podcast, God is a good father. You said you struggle with anxiety. What is your go-to scripture when you start having anxiety? I'm in a season of depression and anxiety, and I can't find my way out. I'm still needing a moment.
I got you.
I was like, I have my Bible here, but if you got some verses off the top of your head, I'm going to flip through mine.
My favorite for this is Psalms. And the reason I love the Psalms is because I don't want a platitude that just stick a sticker on it and feel better. The Psalms, David's like freaking out, right? I need a story. I need somebody that's like, and the walls are falling in on me. Where are you, God? You know? And I think read the Psalms. There's Psalms of lament. We are not very good lamenters. And so we don't love the Psalms of lament. But when you read his suffering, I think it helps you feel seen, just like hearing yours, Candace, made so many people feel seen. And when you read all of it, and then so often in most of these prayers, songs, David comes back and wants God, even though he's mad, even though he's sad, even though he's in this pit, you know? Like, I just still love you. And where else am I going to go? I mean, so many of them. I'm just looking right now. He's just so mad. Our captors are required for us. They're waiting for us. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? And he's acting like they're forgotten. Let my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth. If I do not remember you, if I do not set Jerusalem above my highest joy. He's fighting to believe God. He's like, all these people are after me, but God, I don't never want to stop praising you. You know, that's just one I turned open to. And it's just, these are so powerful. And of course, my favorite one is Psalm 139. Oh Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit down, when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You know my depression. You know my anxiety. You know what I'm worried about. You know why my body is broken and my mind feels broken. You know, and you know me. And that's even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it all together. You hem me in behind and before. And when I don't know, there's something just comforting about that to me.
It's so comforting. I love that. And I spent some time this year in the Psalms that more than I had before. And they're so beautiful because I kind of didn't understand them. I'm like, I don't really want to sit in something that's some person's weeping and crying out. And yet you feel so seen in the Psalms. And my immediate, when someone's like, well, what scripture do you go to? I'm always like, well, go to Matthew 6 or go to Philippians, which is, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything through prayer and petition.
It's very Thanksgiving.
Like I go to the practical,
it's good.
Here's how you do it.
You pray and petition. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's nice to know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are two great places to rest.
Yeah.
Within the New Testament and the Old Testament, that you can feel seen in the Psalms and the book of Job.
Yeah.
But then if you want that practical application, go
prayer and petition. Yeah, I love me a formula. Tell me what to do. Wow, this is amazing.
This was a good episode.
It was. It was so powerful. Thank you.
Thank you for
everybody is grateful.
Sharing and listening. Remember that Jennie and I have a gift for you this season. We're calling it the Unwind Guide, and it's a free resource to help you understand your emotional health. Get it at Candace.com, where you can also ask more questions that we will answer next season. Until next time, be grateful all day, every day. Thanks so much for watching. If something we said made you feel good today, would you tap the like button? I've got new videos every Wednesday, but you never know when I might post something extra. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss anything new. Candy Rock Entertainment, all rights reserved.